Hello, everybody from Kingfisher, Oklahoma. There are three things we're going to talk about tonight from Exodus 36 and 37. It's short because we've been talking about all the things they're going to do, and now very much like the Hebrew literature that we're looking at, they say a thing, then they're going to say it a different way. So they've told us what they're going to make, and now they're recording that they made it. So here we go. Three things from Exodus 36 and 37. So 36, it starts by the fact that they're taking up the offering. Now they talked about, God said, take up an offering, and now they're doing it. And the people respond so beautifully and so generously. They take up the offering, and the people give so much that they say, stop, no more. We've got way more than we need. So they turn people away from continuing to give because they have more than they need for the project. That's pretty amazing. Number two, then they jump in and they're making all of the things according to the specifications God gave. He's gifted two men to make the things, Bezalel and Aholiab, and they're very special and able to work all sorts of things. But they're also getting instructions from God how it's supposed to be, and those two men are overseeing it. And third, just notice this, that the two cherubim on the ark, says they're facing each other. The one is on one end and one on the other end, and their faces are towards each other. And it said that their wings are spreading out over the mercy seat, probably between them. Now, whether that's like this, whether like that, or tall, it doesn't really say, but that's what we've got going on, so you can kind of picture it. And I don't know if you've seen Indiana Jones. They kind of show that there, and that's one take on it. It's kind of straight out, but it definitely says their wings are covering the mercy seat. So anyway, sometimes I guess Hollywood kind of pictures the same thing. Maybe they used the Bible there. On with the Bible. Chapter 36. Then wrought Bezalel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man in whom the Lord put wisdom and understanding to know how to work all manner for the service of the sanctuary according to what the Lord had commanded. And Moses called Bezalel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man in whose heart the Lord had put wisdom, even every one whose heart stirred him up to do the work to do it. And they received all of Moses all the offering which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary, to make it withal. And they brought yet unto him free offerings every morning. And all the wise men that wrought all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work which they made. And they spake unto Moses, saying, the people bring much more work to the service of the work which the Lord commanded to make. And Moses gave the commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed through the camp, saying, let neither man nor woman make any more work for the offering of the sanctuary. For the people were restrained from bringing, for all the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and too much. Hey, we've got enough. Let's not bring any more. And every wise-hearted man among them wrought the work of the tabernacle, made 10 curtains of fine twined linen and blue and purple and scarlet, with cherubim of cunning work made with them. So that's the decoration on them is a cherubim. The length of one curtain was 28 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain was 4 cubits. And remember, it's about 18 inches a cubit, probably. The curtains were all of one size. He coupled the 5 curtains one unto another, and the other 5 curtains he coupled one to another. And he made loops on the edge of the curtain from the selvage in the coupling. Likewise, he made the uttermost side of another curtain. In the coupling of the second, 50 loops he made on one curtain, and 50 loops he made in the edge of the curtain that was the coupling of the second. The loops were held one curtain to another. And he made 50 taches of gold, and coupled the curtains one to another with the taches. So it became one tabernacle. And he made curtains of goat hair for the tent of the tabernacle. 11 curtains he made. And the length of one curtain was 30 cubits, and 4 cubits was the breadth of one curtain. The 11 curtains were of one size, and he coupled 5 curtains to themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves. And he made 50 loops upon the uttermost edge of the curtain of the coupling, and 50 loops upon the edge of the curtain he made with coupled the second. And he made 50 taches of brass to couple the tent together, that it might be one. And he made a covering for the tent of ram's skin dyed red, and covering the badger's skins above that. So he's making various curtains and just making them fit together. And he made boards of the tabernacle of shittim wood, standing up. The length of the board was 10 cubits, and the breadth of the board was 1 cubit and a half. One board had 2 tenons, equally distant from one another. Thus he did for all the boards of the tabernacle. And he made the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards for the south side, southward. And 40 sockets of silver he made under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for his 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for its 2 tenons. Now remember, tenons where they join together. And the other side of the tabernacle, which is toward the north corner, he made 20 boards. And there are 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And the sides of the tabernacles westward he made 6 boards. And 2 boards made he for the corners of the tabernacle and the 2 sides. And they were coupled beneath, and coupled together at the head thereof to one ring. So thus he did to both of them in both the corners. And there were 8 boards, and their sockets were 16 sockets of silver, and every board 2 sockets. So you just kind of get this pattern they're laying out there, that things are joined together. And he made bars of shittim wood, 5 boards for the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 boards for the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the tabernacle and the sides westward. And he made a middle bar to shoot through the boards from the one end to the other. And he overlaid the boards with gold, and made their rings of gold to be places for the bars, and overlaid the bars with gold. So all this wood often is getting overlaid with gold, whether it's the poles or these boards that the curtains are hanging off of. And he made a veil of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twisted twined linen with cherubim. He made it of cunning work. And he therefore unto 4 pillars of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. Their hooks were of gold, and he cast the 4 sockets of silver. And he made a hanging for the tabernacle door of blue and purple and scarlet, and fine twined linen of needlework, and the 5 pillars of it with their hooks, and he overlaid their chapiters with the fillets of gold, but their 5 sockets were of brass. Now Bezalel made the ark of shittim wood. 2 cubits and a half was the length of it, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth, and 1 cubit and a half the height. And he overlaid it with pure gold within and without, and made a crown of gold to go around it. And he cast 4 rings of gold to be set at the 4 corners, even 2 rings on one side and 2 rings on the other side. And he made staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he put the staves through the rings by the side of the ark to bear the ark. And he made the mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half was the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the width. And he made 2 cherubim of gold, beaten out of one piece he made them. So he's all one piece of gold, he shapes these cherubim. One on 2 ends of the mercy seat. 1 cherub at one end on this side, and another cherub on the other end at that side. Out of the mercy seat then he made the cherubim on the 2 ends thereof. And the cherubim spread out their wings on high, and they covered with their wings over the mercy seat, with their faces towards another, even towards the mercy seatward were the faces of the cherubim. And he made the table of shittim wood. 2 cubits was the length thereof, and 1 cubit and breadth thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the height thereof. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and made thereunto a crown of gold round about it. And he made thereunto a border of a handbreadth round about it, and made a crown of gold for the border round about. And he cast 4 rings of gold, and put the 4 rings on the corners, on the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border were the rings, and places for the staves to bear the table. So perhaps the table that the ark sits on, and it's got rings to carry too. So everything they make has these rings so that they can be mobile and carry it. And thereunto he made a border. Oh, I said that already. Sorry. Over the borders were the rings and the places for the staves to bear the table. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold to bear the table. And he made vessels which were upon the table, his dishes and his spoons and his bowls and his covers to cover withal of pure gold. And he made a candlestick of pure gold. A beaten work made he the candlestick. his shaft, his branch, his bowls, his knops, his flowers were the same. 6 branches going out of the sides, 3 branches out of the candlestick out of one side, and 3 branches out of the candlestick on the other side thereof. 3 bowls made out of the fashion of almonds in one branch, a knop and a flower, and 3 bowls like almonds in another branch, a knop and a flower. So throughout the 6 branches going out of the candlestick, and in the candlestick were 4 bowls made like almonds, his knops and his flowers, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches going out of it. Their knops and their branches were all of the same, all of one beaten work of gold. And he made his 7 lamps and his snuffers and his snuff dishes of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold he made it, all the vessels thereof. So this is a menorah. It's a 7 candle holder, 3 on this side, 3 on this side, 1 in the middle. Very classic Jewish piece of work there. And this is where they're getting it. And he made the incense altar of shittim wood. The length of it was a cubit, the breadth of it was a cubit, and it was 4 square. And the 2 cubit was the height of it, and the horns thereof were the same. And he overlaid it with pure gold, both on top and the sides thereof round about, and the horns of it. He also made it unto a crown of gold round about it. And he made 2 rings of gold for it under the crown, by the 2 corners of it, upon the 2 sides thereof, to be places for the staves to bear it withal. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them all with gold. And he made the holy anointing oil and the pure incense of sweet spices, according to the work of the apothecary. So there you go. They're making all this stuff just like God said. And obedience to God, it's a marvelous thing. Well, we're going to keep going on ahead. We'll catch you next time.